Welcome to the Bentley Offshore SIG. We're going to be talking about the wind turbine job creator and how we can generate multiple wind turbine analyses using an Excel spreadsheet with our analysis variables. And we're going to talk a little bit about the wind turbine job settings file that you can use to regenerate all of the wind turbine analyses. So I'm just going to briefly talk about what the wind turbine job creator is and what it's intended for. When you run a wind turbine analysis, either a strength or a fatigue analysis, we usually require many more simulations than a traditional offshore structure analysis requires. And so the wind turbine job creator is intended to quickly generate these analyses based upon some preliminary data that you create, and then using the Excel spreadsheet information, you can use a lot of different variables that can modify what that initial data is. I'm going to show some examples later on, so if this is sounding a bit vague, we'll look at it a little bit more closely. But that's the basic idea behind the wind turbine job creator. I'm going to go ahead and jump into this example that I've created for you guys. I'm going to look at a few things real quick first before we look at the wind turbine job creator. So when you're doing it, you're going to need some, I kind of think of them as like partial, if you're familiar with doing fatigue analyses, we have a partial fatigue input file that can then be, add different information to it depending on the analysis. The same kind of principle here is we're going to be providing some input that is going to be partial input, and then that input is then going to be filled out with all of the information that we put into the wind turbine job creator. So let's go to the Utilities tab. We're going to go open the Utilities tab, and this is on 13 and greater. I'm on 13.2, which is a beta release right now, but you should see this in 13.1, I should say 13.1, which will be, I think, is going to be out within the next week or so. So we open this up. This is kind of like just a really simple box. It's going to get more complicated as we add more information, but you have a few different options here on which type of analysis you want to do. So you can do a strength analysis, a fatigue analysis, or a dynamic superelement analysis. For this example, we're going to do dynamic superelement. It's kind of the simplest to look at, and really once you get the concept down, it'll be easy to do the other ones. Okay, so we're going to then use select our Excel file, and I'm going to open up the Excel file real quick and show you what's in this. It's very simple. It's just a table. Well, Excel will open up. There we go. It's running a little slowly, it seems. There we go. Don't know why Excel's taking that long to load. Here we go. So this is just a table, and you can see here we have a list of wind directions, water depths. We have a random seed number. This is intended to provide some randomness to the time histories, right? We're going to do like a random wave generator, and so the random seed will affect that. I heard somebody was saying that it's a little hard to see the text on my screen, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I hope that's about as close as I can get, so I hope that's helpful. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to zoom in on the wind turbine job creator text. I apologize for that. We have multiple wave directions, wind velocities, and then significant wave heights, dominant periods, and wave spectrum type. Now these can pretty much be any variable that you'd like. I'm going to show you later on in the wind turbine job creator how to hook up the um, the Excel input with the SACS input. So essentially what we're doing here is we're creating these list of variables. And for each load case, design load case, we can have these different variables. Okay, I think I can leave that open. So let's go jump back to the Excel file. So I'm going to go select that right here. And the other thing that we need to do is we need to set the input files. So I'm going to click Read Files here. And what we're going to need to do is essentially put all of the partial input files here. So let's see. I'm seeing, supposed to be having analysis files path. Where are we here? Let me look at this. Hold on real quick. I'm going to go look at the job settings that I've set previously, make sure I'm not missing something here. Sorry about this, guys. We're going to go to, there we go. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. So here, click the ellipses button here. And then what we're going to need to do is select all of the partial input files. So for this one, we're going to select this wave response input file. So if you're not familiar with the Dynamic Superelement, essentially what we do for the Dynamic Superelement is we have a wave response input file, and we have a Dynamic Superelement input file. We run that analysis with those input, and we're going to generate a Dynamic Superelement to be used with other wind turbine analysis programs. But it's going to essentially work the same way for strength or fatigue analysis. You're going to be selecting your wave response input files and just all the input that you would need for that analysis. You're just going to have these partial input files. All right, we're going to have these. We have this SACS fields.cfg file. I'm going to open that up and show you. But this is just a configuration file to show what the what that input file is going to look like. And then we're going to have a run file for that wave response analysis. So we have a template for that. And then this is going to be our new run file name that's generated. So it's just going to take the one that you've selected here, but it is going to allow for you to select a different name if you'd like. Okay, we're going to need a C-state input file. So I'm going to grab that. And then also, same thing, we're going to have this SACS fields configuration file. This can be different for each input file, or it can be the same. It doesn't really matter however you'd like to do that. Going to get a dynamic super input file, and then we're going to get the config file and the run file. So this is going to be setting up two analyses. It's going to be setting up the wave response analysis, and it's going to be setting up the let's see, it's not finding it. Oh, I need to change this to, it's a SACS run file. There we go. All right. And what we're also going to be doing is copying some of the files to copy into the analysis. So we're going to have this Dynamic Superelement data file. We're going to be adding this Dynamic Superelement TRS file. These are output from previous Dynamic Superelement analyses. And we're going to be adding the SACS input file. So what we're doing here is we're just setting up all the partial input files and then all of the other input files that are going to need to be copied in order to run this analysis. Okay, so I've set that up. Click OK. And we're going to click OK there. Okay, so real quick, before I go too much further, we can take a quick look at those files. Yeah, I cannot, I'm sorry, I don't think I can make this bigger, but I can't make the text bigger. I apologize if you're having a little trouble seeing. I could try and go into my display settings, but I'm not sure if that might actually mess things up more than it's going to help things. So I apologize for that if you're having trouble seeing. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. We're going to take a look. First things first. Well, let's look at this CFG file so they all know what's going on with this file. So this is a SACS field configuration. And see, it appears my computer may just be running slow today. Seems like everything's taking a long time to load, so I apologize for that. Let's try opening it in Notepad then, if it's not going to open. Here. Yeah, my computer's just crawling right now. I don't know. It's just taking long. It's taking a long time to open a text file. Okay, there we go. It loaded. All right. So here, what we're doing is we're setting these parameters and what fields that we're going to be wanting to assign. So this is going to serve as kind of like the configuration for the input that we're going to be modifying with the Excel spreadsheet. So with the Excel spreadsheet, we're telling what those variables are going to be, but here we're going to be saying what we want the values, what kind of values we want to be inputting. I'll show it a little bit. It'll be a little bit more clear when we look at the cloud generator again. Let me pull that up then. Okay, let's grab that Excel spreadsheet again. And then we're going to do into the row for the column headers. So the first row we saw in the Excel spreadsheet was our header row. And then the data row, I believe we can leave blank because it's going to be all subsequent data. Okay. So now the wind turbine job creator is going to be asking for those variables. So here we have wind direction. Right here we have wind direction. So this could be named something different. SACS, the wind turbine job creator, isn't going to automatically assume that wind direction is wind direction. All we have to do here is we just need to select from these drop-down menu which one we want to use. So it's pretty clear here we want to use wind direction. And again, if it's not terribly clear, from this drop-down menu, you should be able to see, this is reading from the Excel spreadsheet. So we have wind direction, water depth, random seed number, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we have the design load case. We're going to have we have some options in here too that are going to be specific. So we can either do the mode shape type as either wind direction based or not wind direction based. I'm going to use not wind direction based here. It's also going to ask for some additional files. So here we have the dyne mode and dyne mass files that we need to previously generate from our dynamic modal extraction analysis, DynPack. So we'll select those files here. It's going to ask for the DSC DAT file and DSC transformation file. These are output from the mode shape extraction and analysis. They're going to be used to generate the DSC output. So we have the DSC DAT file and DSC TRS file. And then here we're going to do the DLCs. These are the design load cases. This is how we're going to set up all of those other variables. So, or set which design load cases are going to be analyzed. So we have a list here that we can select from. I'm just going to select one of them for this example. And then we can select the assign header types to field. So here, this is where we get to see where we had a lot of that SACS CFG file. So here you can see for every line that we have here, we're going to have some variables that can be assigned here in this assign field headers. So again, this is going to be setting what variables can be modified using this Excel spreadsheet. This is specifically the input lines that are going to be modified in all of the analysis input files. So, remember we were setting that for the C state input, the wave response input, and the dynamic superelement input. So with all of those, we're going to be able to modify all those, any kind of input line that we have here. You'll notice that we have some input here as well. That's going to where we are allowed to set some default values if the other values are not modified. But here we can select whatever header we want. So water depth we can set as water depth. We can set the wave direction as wave direction here. Let's see, I don't think we're going to use a time increment, so we'll just leave that blank. And I don't think we have a wave kinematics factor. So those will just be using whatever is from the configuration file. We're going to, let's see, going to use the random seed number that we have here for this. Wave spectrum type is going to be down here. Significant wave height here. Dominant period. We're not gonna use gamma and C. Those are gonna be just using default values. And I don't think we have a time duration set, right? So we're just gonna use the default value for that. We're going to do no force factor or moment factor. We should have a wind. I guess we don't have a wind speed. So we should have a wave height here, a wave period, water depth, wave direction, wind direction here. And so you might have to read some of the documentation to set these input files up correctly, because this is going to be dependent upon what's in the input files. But this is how you would set it up. So I think that's everything here. Now I can click OK, and then I'm going to click on, Save Settings As, because I already have one set in here, but I want to set it separately. Um, so let's call this, we can call this sig settings.txt. Okay. And I'm going to click generate files. Please designate Excel header for the simulation identifiers. Okay, well that's why I saved it as a separate one, because I might have missed a header or something here. So, oh, identifier here. There we go. That's probably the one that I missed. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to create a new folder, call it 1.2, and we're going to select this. So this is going to be the output for this folder, for all of the analyses that we're going to generate here. Okay, I think it ran. So here, if I'm gonna pull this up now. So we have, for 1.2, we have two different analyses that we're going to be generating. We have B1 and B2. And so, oh, did I? Must have created it from here. I don't know why. I must have done something wrong in the input. That's okay. Okay, I'm getting some people having issues hearing me clearly. Is that better? Can you all hear better now? Going to see if I can. I don't think I can modify the. Okay, so if you're having trouble hearing, I apologize. I don't think that I can improve the audio on your end, on my end rather. So may just have to turn up the volume. Okay, I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. So we can see here, okay, so the partial input files that are going to be modifying are the wave response input file, the dynamic superelement input file, and I believe it's the C-state input file here. And I guess as just an example, we can go back up to the top and I can show you what the original input looked like. So we can just see kind of how it's been modified. And I'll just do that with like the wave response input file and the dynamic superelement input file. So before we had this Jones swap spectrum here with a, let's see, a wave height of 3 and a dominant period of 5.8. But if we look at the generated one, you're going to see that it's actually using the Excel input here. Now this one's for A2. I think I messed up something in the input on the what Rose used for the header or something like that, because it should be pulling 1.2. I think that was an error on my part. But so if we look at this case, I think it should work. So if we look at the significant wave height is 8 and the dominant period is 2.5, if we go back and look at the modified input file, we can see 8 and 2.5 here. So that corresponds to the Excel spreadsheet information that we provided there. And if we go back and look at the configuration file, we can see here this wave spec, Jones swap gamma. This is the input that we're modifying here. Well, I guess it's on the wave spec line, significant wave height and dominant period, right? So those are the values that we're modifying. And here you can see, I'll just real quick kind of show you what's going on here. This is let's see, should be column. So it's column 13, 7 long, right? So 13 to 19. And then it's a float value. So it's going to be putting it in as a float value, which is just a one with a decimal place and after, and zeros after it or whatever. So it could be an integer where it's not going to have that decimal point. So that's how that works. That's how you're setting this stuff up. So it's going to be going and inserting those input that you're setting in the Excel spreadsheet and then generating those analysis input files. It's also going to set up a SACS IN file, which is going to be the input for the wind turbine analysis itself. If I just, I hope it's not going to take another minute just to load a text file, but it's looking like it may. If you're not familiar with the SACS input file, it's just going to have, for this one it's pretty simple because it's for the dynamic superelement analysis, but it's just setting up all the different flags that are required and analysis input files, references, and in the cases of the strength and fatigue ones, it's going to be referencing some other data as well that are specific to those analyses. So it's going to automatically set those up. Now, these are primarily intended to be used in conjunction with the wind turbine cloud process that I'm going to be talking about in another SIG. That's, I can't remember if it's in 2 months or in 4 months. But one of those will be talking about the wind turbine cloud process itself. They're primarily intended to be used that way. However, you can run these on your local machine too. You might just have to do a little additional setup. Like for instance, in this one, I'm going to need to add some run analysis multi-run files to run everything. But you can run these now and generate those super elements for each analysis. Okay, I think that's everything that I have to show you. Oh, like I don't know if I talked too much about the settings file. So once you generate all of this, you're going to have this Job Cloud settings file. And this is going to be just a text input of all of the input options that we've set here. So if you go into this, you'll see it's pretty simple. It's just text, so you can modify this if you'd like. But this is just primarily intended so that you can save what your input for this job creator is, and then say you make some modifications and you want to rerun all of this to generate all of the input again. You can do that. Just load up, you can open the settings and it'll load all of the settings that you've previously created. So you can either modify the Excel spreadsheet or modify some of the SACS input files and then regenerate all of your analysis and then rerun the analysis. So that's the wind turbine job creator. I think that's everything I have to show you. I'd be happy to take any questions that people might have. I know this is kind of different from our normal SIG videos, as it's kind of a lot of new input formats, and it may not look as familiar as some of the other analyses that I've shown you in the past. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them now.
Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it with others. If you want to see more like it, please consider subscribing to this and Bentley's other channels. Thank you, and see you next time.